Okay, now that we figured out how to make more complicated points, you should spend some time playing around with the different ways that you can make shapes. But we're going to move on to look at the light source. I'm going to close my render window, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to delete it. I'm going to go back to the top menu. I'm going to click on space, add, mesh, and I'm going to add a sphere. What we see here is that my light, so we've been focusing on the object. Let's focus on the light a little bit. We see here that this is my light source. If I render it, you can see that the light is showing up on this part of it and not so much on this part of it. That's because if I close my render and I go back to the top down or the 0, okay, and I scan out by hitting minus, we see that the light source is up here, which means that it's going to cast light on this part and shadow down here. I can move that light around. So again, this is what it looks like here. If I grab the light, again by clicking on it and then hitting G, I'll move it to this side. Now when I render, we can see that the light is on this side of the object and the shadow is down here. You never actually see the light in the render view because the light source, although it shows up as an object, the light itself is invisible on the screen. You can also add a second light. So if I put my cursor up here and then I hit spacebar, so far I've been adding mesh objects, but if I go down and add a lamp, I'm just going to add the most basic kind of lamp. I'm going to add this lamp. Now I see I have a light here and a light here. And when I render the object, you can see that there's two light sources. There's a light source that's coming down this way, and there's a light source that's coming down that way. I can add as many lamps as I want. So let's say I want to light up the bottom. Add, lamp, lamp. And now when I render it, we see that there's 3 light sources. Now there's a ton more things you can do with lights. But let me just remind you that sometimes when you look like things are right, on a different level, they're not. So for example, here we see all 3 lights and they look like they're even this way. But if we scan down, now we can see why one of the lights is lighting up from the bottom and 2 of the lights are lighting up from the top. Again, I'm doing this with the 4 and the 6, or the 8 and the 2, or the 7 and the 1 view. Okay. If I were to grab this light and put it here and then render it, in this case it's still kind of showing up way on the edge. Let me see if I can make that light disappear. Okay, so I'm going to look at it here and grab it. Okay. Now in this view, the lamp is directly behind the ball. And if I hit 1 and grab it, the lamp is also directly behind the ball. If I render it now, you can see that the light isn't really even showing up. It's still there, but it's shining light on the part of the ball that's behind where the camera is viewing.